Let's see here. How are we doing? All right. I think we're back. All right. I think we're back.
Oop.
Sorry, guys. That's really frustrating. Sorry, guys. My internet is back. Hopefully, you guys are back. Everyone makes it back. Internet is back. Sorry, guys.
I
That's really
feedback.
frustrating. Okay, I'll wait a minute. Okay, I'll wait a minute. I don't know, like this. Why did this happen literally in the middle of every stream? It's so frustrating. Why did this happen literally in the middle of every stream? It's so frustrating.
It's okay.
All right. So I'll just wait a few minutes. Anyways. Yeah, I know. Oh, sorry, Andrew. Oh yeah, I did leave you guys on a bit of a cliffhanger. I was like,
Yeah,
let's
you
tell you guys
kinda were like,
what I was gonna play for the rest, what I was gonna do. So give me 1 second, guys. I'm just gonna wait for some of the people to come back. If you guys are on YouTube, it's gonna be like a new video, so you got to make sure to switch to that. It's not gonna be the same video. YouTube is weird. Twitch will like pick up where it left off, but YouTube basically creates a whole new video, so you have to go back to my YouTube channel and then look for the live stream. Just unfortunate. No, see, it's the chaos gods are punishing me for my abandonment. I think was what is happening.
I mean, it could have been worse. You could have turned into a spawn.
Yeah, that's true. Spread a few tentacles.
But one of Magnus's nipple horns.
I mean, I wouldn't mind a nipple whore.
I mean, like you'd become like a nipple horn. Like you wouldn't.
Oh, I'd just be the horn.
Yeah, you wouldn't you wouldn't get one. You would just be it.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. Sorry, everyone, for the downtime. It's frustrating for me too. So, all right. So that was the incentive for the title. For those of you wondering why I'm saying goodbye, because I'm saying goodbye to my chaos army, all of my chaos. I'm not keeping a single model. Like I have a few small things that are unpainted, which I'm gonna basically either paint for him as an additional bit of work once I'm done my current commissions, or I will just give it to him and he can figure out what he wants to do with it. So what does that mean for my future armies? Well, there's two paths that I'm thinking about. So first of all, why did I say yes to this? So you're wondering why I said yes to this. What I realized is my growth as a 40k player has been stunted by my attachment to chaos, in that I have so much chaos. Well, yeah, Brian, that's obviously a part of it too. The money was important, but he made a good point, and this is actually what pushed me over the edge, because I wasn't going to do it at first, but he made a good point. And you know, he's someone that like, you know, I'd say we're buddies. Like, you know, we went for dinner. We're good friends. Like it's not like a random person. He basically said to me he's doing this to help me, because he knows that I will only ever play chaos for as long as I own all that chaos. Like that will always, I'll just be a chaos player. I own so much that it's like it's hard for me to stop and cut away and go play something new.
Yeah.
So in his sense, he's helping me, and I mean he's helping me in more than one way, obviously. And yeah, and he's right. You know, I've been playing chaos since the start of 8th. I've played demons, knights, Thousand Suns, Death Guard, Chaos Space Marines, all of it, and I've never. Once I almost flirted with starting a Unari army. I bought a bunch of stuff through my prize winnings, and then before I could, they got nerfed, and I sold them all. So what am I going to do? I think my plan currently is I'm not going to do much for the like rest of the year from an army perspective. I'm not going to paint anything. Sorry. Did I go down again? Did the stream go down again? Please don't say. Did... God damn it. David, you there? All right. Test. Oh, the video's frozen. Okay. That's really weird. Now David's gone. David, are you there? I hate technology sometimes, guys. Discord just kicked me out. Just reloading Discord, guys. Okay, so Discord has gone down. So that is awesome. The Discord servers have pooped. We will be back. 1 second. Look at what has happened, guys. I know you guys can hear me and you can't see me, but the chaos gods have forsaken us. So let's see what if I can do this really quick. Let's see. I'm gonna try to call David. If you can hear me, I'm gonna call you on Skype. See if we can get that. Where is David Koska? There he is. Call him. Sorry about this, guys. This is... Right. Yes, gods are fickle. Okay, guys. Well, I don't know what to do here. I feel like Discord has giving me let's see. I'm gonna try Skype here. Okay, while I'm waiting, I'm gonna throw my camera on so you guys can see me at least. Let's see here. All right, here we go. All right, hey everyone. Sorry about all this. It's really frustrating. Right now, I'm trying to get David on Skype, so just hang on for a sec. Let me see if he'll answer my call. Oh, I think we have him. David, how are you? Can you talk? I don't hear you. Microphone. Oh, that's why. Hey, how's that? No? Can you say something? Let's see here. All right. How's it?
Am I on?
Oh, I hear you. Okay, David. You're
Yeah.
there?
I'm here.
Okay, I have David, guys. Just hang on 1 sec. I'm gonna try to... Oh, God. I'm gonna try to get him in here. Boom. Oh, there he is. Boom, boom. Pop him behind. There we go. David, can you talk?
Me? I'm talking right now.
All right, I think we have you back. I've patched together a mix of Skype and my webcam to get us back on the air. But I think we are back on the air. So let me know if you guys can see us and hear us.
Jim, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right.
Can chat hear
Chat, can you guys
me?
hear and
Am
see
I on
David?
this or no?
Everything's good, they say. Okay, we're
All
back.
right.
So somehow,
Look at that. We did
so
it.
yeah,
You
my
did
mechanicum skills coming through. All right, so yeah, I literally am using a combination of webcam and Skype right now to get it going. All right, so back to my conversation. So what I'm gonna be doing, so I'm not gonna be doing any armies for the rest of the year. I'm gonna be basically in a holding pattern. What my current plan is to probably play my Marines and do a little bit of my. I have some Marine backlog, like a few units here and there that I like. Something I have still Indominus box sets that I haven't painted, so I'm just gonna kind of finish up some of that stuff for my Soul Drinkers. Maybe if the Black Templars
Yeah.
are good, I might kind of pivot them into a Black Templars list. But I got a bunch of commissions to do, and I'll probably pick up some more commissions and focus on that. And then in the new year,
Uh-huh.
I've been hearing a lot of rumors about Eldar. David, I think I'm
Okay.
coming out of the closet. I'm really gonna be an Eldar player, I think, in the new year once their new stuff drops.
Interesting take. Okay. Right on.
I want to start an Eldar army, David. What do you think of that?
You, I think you should most certainly play an Eldar army.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I think every aspect has a really fascinating play style. I hope that the new codex dips a little further into that. I think the problem is there are just so many random there's just so many random units that just never got to see play. Like I love striking scorpions to death. They're like one of my favorite units because there's like such a strange combination of like the most armored model, but they're also like stealthy. And I would love to see them being played more often. The time when fire dragons were popular, I kind of miss seeing them. I'd love to see how wraith units get remodeled so that they actually are more playable. Maybe Iandon does what Nurgle does, and it's like -1 damage, for wraith units. That'd be cool.
And I have a few old metal Eldar characters from my days of hoarding GW bits. I have some of the old Farseers and warlocks, like some of those rare warlocks, including a metal Eldrad. I'm gonna paint.
Nice.
I think as like a fun project in the next like month or so. I'm gonna paint one up as a test model slash scheme. Yeah, Kenny makes a good point. He's like, they're still metal, the current stuff. Yeah, like obviously, the reason I've never started Eldar, I've always wanted to start Eldar, was because the range is so old, and I never wanted to fuck with Finecast or some of that stuff. But with the amount of 3D prints,
Yeah.
the amount of like nice 3D printed replacements for the Aspect Warriors, some of the plastic kits, and then obviously some of the other stuff, I think I'm gonna start Eldar, and I'm gonna start slowly collecting. So I'm gonna add things like, I'll paint like a wave serpent, and I think my kind of paint style will really flourish in an Eldar army where it's like bright and heavy saturation, lots of freehand, lots of decals. People call them I call them decals. What do you call them? Decals?
I believe the term is decals. Yes,
but it's like a decal. I don't know. I always say decal.
Decal? What?
Anyways, doesn't matter. So, all right. So that's the big announcement, guys. So let's get into the actual show because now that we've done all our technical issues.
Yeah.
All right. So quickly, and we're gonna go quick now because we've wasted probably 30 minutes just trying to deal with technical issues.
Very true.
First, I want to talk about Las Vegas team tournament. First of all, I had a great time. I want to give a huge shout out and huge kind of like props to my team for basically doing such an excellent job. We ended up 5-1 and came in 6th place out of 61 teams, which is fantastic if you ask me. We only lost to Advanced Warfare, who were basically like Matt Root's team, who's one of the top players in the US. And funny thing about that team, one of their team members was James Kelling, who, as you might know, David, I've had a bit of history with in the past. I'm sure you guys have heard or seen the drama. What I want to say, to James and his teammates and everyone that is, I guess, in that group is like, when I saw that we were paired together, there's a little bit of a deep breath because I was worried that potentially like that past history would come in and sour the matchup or whatever. And when we got to the table, I said hey to James, I shook his hand, and I introduced myself to all their team. ultimately, I just want to really move past all this, and I'm hoping that, I have no ill will towards any of them. The past is the past, and from my perspective, I've moved on personally, and I just want to focus on, being the best player that I can be, and carrying myself in the high standard, and I hope, um, yeah, I just hope that we can it's water under the bridge and we can kind of move on with ourselves. We're all adults here. We're not children, and so um, the round went pretty well. I played Matt Root. Sorry, the round didn't go well. We lost. We got swept. They were our very first matchup, and Nick Nanavati came to while I was playing the game against Matt Root. Nick Nanavati comes up to me. He's like, "Yeah, he's trying to talk to me while I'm playing, and it's like super super intense and super close in our game." And he's like, "Oh, you guys have like the hardest matchup, like round one matchup to me." I'm like, "Dude, like," I was like, "Nick, not right now. Like, I can't, like, get out of here." I like shoot him out at the table because it was like super intense. And we learned a lot from that matchup, and a big thing was like being confident in pairings. And if you guys are interested to hear kind of more of a full report, check out the Exterminatus podcast. It's another podcast that I record with. We recorded last night, and we actually had two of the other team captains on from the LVTT. It's more of a competitive focused podcast, but check them out. I kind of go through some of our rounds, some of my mentality, some of my thought process on the overall format, that kind of stuff, and get a bit deeper into it. What I will say is it was just really nice to get out to an event, play with everyone, seeing everyone. And I'm glad that we finished the event without any sort of drama. I did have one really bad game. My third game on the first day was probably one of the worst games of 40K I've played in a very long time. We'd already won the round, so I decided to not finish the game with the opponent. It was too much, and I was getting too frustrated. And so I let him have the win. I was like, "Hey man, you can have the win. It's all yours. I'm not enjoying this game at all." People were giving me gears and there's been some talk about like, well, what if they travel all the way for an event and they don't get their game in? Well, the shoe is also on the other foot sometimes. I traveled all the way from Canada, spent $350 in COVID tests to play 6 games of 40K, and I was having a fucking awful time. And so in my best interest, I decided not to finish that game because I was having such an unenjoyable time. I didn't travel all the way from Canada to endure that, right? To endure that kind of like not fun.
Did you have any other games that day after
No, there
that?
was a third game. It was the third game of the day, and we'd already won the round because we had won four out of the. We had won all the other games. So there's no
Yeah,
me like basically conceding the game, saying, "Hey man, you can have it," and saying, I'm just not enjoying this game and I don't want to play with you anymore." He got really upset. He
yeah,
started name calling, stuff like that. But ultimately, I did what was best for my mental health and my enjoyment, and I walked away. And that's why
yeah.
there's like a 29 score on my third game. Um, I ate every shit matchup for my team as the team captain. So I was the team captain. I'm not going to name names, guys. If you want, you can go check out my third game on the first day, and you'll find out. Check out BCP. I'm not here to name and shame. It's just I moved on from it. But the big thing is that I was the team captain, so I did all the pairings. I literally had to force the team to do pairings. Um, and I made it really simple. It was like green, yellow, and red because I was dealing with children. None of my team wanted to do any prep work. I gave them all this homework before the event. None of them wanted to do it. So we were doing it live. I was doing matchups live and pairings live. And, and in the end, they were very thankful because we did a good job of pairings. That's why we went 5-1, right? And they were like, "Jim, like great job with the pairings." I ended up going 1-5. So I lost my first 5 games in a row. And in a singles event, I probably would have just quit 40K. But I literally people were like, "We don't want to play that," and I was like, "Okay, I'll take the shitty matchup." Hey Mate, what's going on, man? I'm just talking about the event. Mate actually is one of my teammates from the event. So yeah, so he actually was probably the biggest beast in the event. Like I've never seen someone take so many hard matchups and play them like so calm. Like he played so many close games and literally like just totally chill. Meanwhile, I'm like losing a game by 20 and I'm freaking out, right? Game that I knew I was gonna lose, but like I don't know, I just get like nervous and I get like really like intense, especially like if games are close. But Mate was like super chill. Even in like the final round, the final round came down to his game and he won by 2 points, but he was just like, "Yeah, whatever," like very cool as a cucumber. I was like, "Dude, I don't know how you do it." Like, he says it's the booze. So awesome job by the team. Super proud of everyone. And we actually ended up getting third best hobby, if you can believe it. And funny story about
I,
that is that the morning of I think the morning or the night before, we ended up going out for dinner, and there was like question as to whether or not we'd even put our armies out, and I was like, no guys, we have to put our armies out. What are you talking about? And so I like kind of forced everyone to put the armies out, because some of them, like, it's optional to get the paint scoring, right? Like not every team did it. And between, obviously I have a nice army, Anthony has a nice army, it's commission painted. Mate's Dark Eldar used to be owned by Anthony, so they're well painted. They were like probably like a good 7 out of 10. And then the Custodes had like half good painted, and then the Dark Angels were like a good solid like tabletop plus standard army. So I thought the armies actually on average were nice. We ended up getting third best hobby, which was cool. I thought we should have won a Renaissance trophy of some kind, but I think Reese screwed up all the scoring somehow. Because we were in the top 6, and we had third best paint, but then like we didn't get Renaissance, so I'm not really sure how it all works. But anyways, it was a great event. I'm glad to be back home. Yeah, otherwise, I do wish there was more team events. Those are the kind of events that they're just fun even if you lose. And I lost a lot. I got beat pretty bad in some of those games. I did get a chance to play Don Husen, who's a long time I guess Chaos colleague, I guess. Well, no longer, but and we've had lots of talks, and we managed to play him in the 6 rounds. So that was my Las Vegas team tournament. And as I said, guys, if you want a more in-depth report, check out the Exterminators podcast. I recorded with them last night. So
like, I gotta ask you, Jim. You did mention that you were maybe gonna look at Templars if the book is okay. Maybe we should talk about the new models that have been getting dropped, these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so
what are your
we
thoughts
had
on
Primaris Helbrecht. How do you say Helbrecht? And
Helbrecht
Grimaldus.
now Grimaldus. Yeah.
So brand new models. I don't love the Grimaldus model. It looks a little bit too. I don't know if it's the mouth, the helmet, or it's like it's just a little bit too busy for me.
Mm.
You know me, I like a cleaner aesthetic, and it just seems a little bit. Huh?
There's a head swap. I go to head swap. We'll just fix it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the Helbrecht looks really cool. I don't love the base. Like I'd probably get rid of the little dudes and just put them on like solo mission and get rid of the orc. Again, I just don't like really busy models. I like things where it's like the model and it's like really clean.
Yeah.
I don't like it when it's like a whole diorama.
Oh my god, when that Helbrecht model got dropped, I was like, "You gotta be! This is so crazy. It's so eccentric. It's like it's a 60mm base, I think.
Yeah, it is 60 mil.
Okay, like you're putting a Space Marine character on a 60. Was like the new Gilman?
Yeah.
Like Abaddon's on a 60, isn't he?
So, yeah. Do you think you're gonna pick up any of those to paint? Maybe incorporate them in your Raven Guard at all?
Yeah. I want to see. Oof, this is where it gets weird. I hate the fact they made Primaris neophytes. That is the stupidest thing they've ever cobbled together. I think it's a really dumb thing. Like, they all live in the same fucking amniotic tanks in Terra. They all get dumped onto here and being like, now you're all part of this chapter. I can't wait to see how they're going to Mary Sue this all together. Like, oh yeah, like, these ones are like the half-finished test tube baby Primaris Marines, and they need to be taught how to do things. I don't know. It's like stupid, or like they're uncensored and they have to be taught by the other ones. So we're gonna strip them of their armor. Like, I don't know how they're gonna make sense of that.
Yeah.
The haircuts are absolutely stupid. Like, maybe there's more heads. Please tell me there's more heads. I'm gonna find it fascinating because if they give like the neophytes like better bolt weapons, then that'll be really strange because like I don't know, the whole concept makes little to no sense to me. It would be cool though if they actually like updated like shotguns for scouts. I hate the way that the shotguns look on the old scouts.
Well, they have those fancy schmancy flamers now, the 15-inch flamers. So maybe they'll get.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they'll get new guns as well. Primaris shotguns with special Primaris bullets.
Only for Primaris.
So,
Marines.
David, one thing I did want to talk about, speaking of Black Templars. So there's been a bit of controversy on the internet, as usual, on the iconography. So Games Workshop recently released pictures of this. So for those of you that are unaware, every month Games Workshop does like a army promo where they give like they make these little coins where you can go get to the Games Workshop store. You get a free model as well. And if you go into the Games Workshop store, you get this little coin and you get a model. This month they're doing
You
Black
get the coin, you
Templars
spend like
and they're
$100.
giving away a Primaris Assault Intercessor, but you're also getting a coin which is a Black Templar coin, and the coin has a cross on it. It's a Maltese cross, which I learned today what the name of that cross is, but it bears a very strong resemblance to the classic Iron Cross, which was borne by the Nazis in World War II. And so there was some heated discussion on the internet right now on whether or not this symbol is too similar to the Nazi symbol, the Nazi cross, in that is this problematic? And personally, I have kind of two thoughts on it, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But my first thought is, well, first of all, I'm not bothered by it because I live in the 40K universe. And so I'm already aware of the context in which that thing is being presented. I know it's meant to represent Black Templars, right? I'm not like a random person walking by that sees it and says, oh, there's Nazis there. I'm like, oh, that's the Black Templars cross. So I know the context in which it's created. So for me, it's not problematic because I play 40K. Now, the argument is, well, what if you didn't play 40K? What if you're like a random person walking off the street, or you saw that at your buddy's house, right? And you didn't play 40K and you saw this like cross. Would you then think, oh, that's a Nazi symbol? And that I could see that that could be problematic, but I would hope that if you saw that, if you didn't play 40K and you saw that at your friend's house, you would ask them about it. And they would explain to you that, no, this isn't actually the Nazi symbol. This is a cross for a fictional game that I play with my friends. And it's actually, this is the difference, right? I'd assume that most people would do that.
Yeah.
And you being a reasonable person would say, oh, okay, it looks a lot like this. And you'd say, yeah, it does actually look like that. It is a little bit problematic. Now, so my first thought is it's not problematic, but my actual problem with this whole conversation isn't that are people offended by this or not? Because look, if you're offended by it and you think that it's problematic, that's okay. And we don't have to all agree, right? We can say some people might be uncomfortable with it and some may be okay with it because they understand the context in which it's presented. And it's not right or wrong. Like neither of us are right or wrong. It's just like, this is how I interpret this. This is my subjective view and my subjective comfort level with that thing, right? So there's no right or wrong there.
Yeah.
Where it jumps the shark for me, and I want you to read, I want to give you a quick story about the Demon Kulaba. I don't even know how to say it. This is a piece of lore from the Storm of Iron series, where basically it's a bunch of like it's a machine that creates Chaos Space Marines, and it's completely over the top grotesque, and I will describe to you the machine in a sec. But what my problem is with this whole conversation is that in the 40K universe, in the lore, in the game, there is a ton of super problematic stuff. There's fascism, there's racism, there's sexism, there's sexual violence, there's outrageous amounts of just regular violence, right? There's tons of really, really grotesque stuff that no one ever talks about, right? And if you were, say, a sexual assault survivor or a survivor of just regular assault, physical assault, whatever, or any sort of assault, right? Those kinds of things might trigger you more than, say, something that was from something that resembles Nazi symbolism, right? Or it might not, right? My point is, it seems odd to me, and where I think this whole thing kind of falls apart for me is the people that are really upset about this never really seem to talk about all of the other super problematic things. So it seems like, and I guess maybe me, like I'm a person of color. I'm not like, I've dealt with racism. I've dealt with that kind of stuff. I honestly understand that this is a game and that this is like a fictional thing. And so for me, I see where it can be problematic. And I see if you didn't know if you didn't know the circumstances and say you were Jewish, yeah, you could look at that and that might upset you. Like I totally think that's a valid place to be and way to feel. So I don't want to like diminish that. On the flip side, that same test of, are you like, does it upset you, right? Does it make you feel uncomfortable, could be applied to just about every other thing in this universe, right? From the gore porn to the sexual violence to the murder and torture to the war crimes to the fascism, and no one ever seems to talk about those things. So there's something uniquely special about this specific incident or instance that seems to like really like fire people up more than say some other things. And so going back to the demon Kulaba, I want to explain to you what this is and how it's presented in lore. They start with human females that are slaves. They shackle them naked within iron cages and force feed them nutrients, which cause their bodies to widen and bloat to grotesque proportions. So think of making foie gras, how they force feed the geese. Then they take surgical chemicals and sorcery, and they entomb and impregnate them with stolen Imperial Fist gene seed. So they fatten up these female slaves, then they impregnate them with Imperial Fist gene seed. Then this birthing womb is basically sealed with a reverse C-section, essentially. They basically take a human baby and they stuff it into this womb through a reverse C-section. Then the Astartes candidate is born from this womb many days later after it's been fused with this Imperial Fist gene seed in this like grotesquely pregnant slave female. Then they take humans, rip off their skin, and stretch it so that it fits these skinless like Astartes, and they sew the skin on from male slaves onto these Astartes. And if they don't work out, they flush the babies through the sewer, these mutated demon babies. And then they would, so that is an actual thing in 40K, a piece of lore. Now that is like probably the top, that's probably one of the most grotesque, fucked up things I've ever read in 40K. And kudos for Graham McNeil for creating such a gnarly ass fucking thing. But how often do you ever hear about people talking about that? How like ridiculous, like how like, that brings up like rape, like false impregnation, like torture. It's just it's completely over the top, and no one ever talks about that kind of stuff. No one ever gets offended by that. No one says, hey, like, I'm a assault survivor and this really offends me. But for some reason, the symbology of this cross, which again is not a Nazi Iron Cross, but very similar, and it's similar enough that is problematic. So I don't want to say that it's not problematic. I'm personally not offended, but I could see how other people were. Really gets people fired up, and people are saying, oh, if you don't and this is the thing, it's gotten to the point where if you don't agree that they should get rid of it, you are a Nazi, or you're a Nazi sympathizer, which I think is completely outrageous. So I don't know. It seems like a really like, yeah. So I'm curious to what your thoughts are, and I don't know if you want a demon Kubula baby, but
one of those.
Definitely. So what do you think? And it's a hard topic. I don't think it's easy. There's no real right answer, I don't think, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
This is what happens when a game that we play that's mostly subculture becomes a mainstream thing. It gets more attention, and you'll get people who don't really look at it beyond like a visual, like face-to-face engagement. They'll like see something and be like, that offends me. And it's like, okay, well, it offends you based on your personal like view, or are you offended because it actually is an offensive thing? Let me go back to the whole cross. The Maltese cross is something that dates back to like the 16th century, the Knight Hospitaller. It's like that is something that is like historically like a thing. Like, but then again, you could say like the swastika used to be like the fucking Buddhist symbol for like
all these symbols are like have been
or winds or
appropriated and misappropriated.
Yeah, but then, like, yeah, so I guess in that regard, like you can't really use historical context to be like, well, this means this because like someone takes something and rebrands it as their own, and then it becomes something monstrously different. But like then again, let's see, Iron Cross. Like if you're talking about Iron Crosses, it's like It's a German war medal. It was around World War I before Nazis were even a thing. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is like it's the idea like not every single person that's German is a Nazi. It's like there were Germans that fought for their country, and not all of them were Nazis. And it's like we can go into that
No, I'd
discussion.
rather
I'd
not
rather
even.
not. Uh, yeah, I don't want to open that can of worms. But the thing is that most people that come into this, like, they don't understand how tongue in cheek the entire 40K universe is. The fact that the good guys, the Imperium, is fascist, is horrible. You can read a book. It's a Black Library sells. It's called the
Oh, I have
Infantryman's
that one.
Uplifting Primer.
I
It's
have that, the original
what's
copy
that?
when it came out like 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, you buy that, it's literally like they pretty much took like a German field manual and full of like how propaganda filled it is and just like exchanged, you know, different soldiers to, oh, that's an orc, that's a tyrannid, like, oh, they're so inferior. It's like, but the thing is that because you play this game, you have this very like, oh, like I get it. And the other thing too is like Judge Dredd, once again,
Right.
like that whole like 80 2000 comic book companies, they're all very satirical. Like it's not supposed to be like you take it at face value. These are the same people that are like, oh, I can't believe like how misogynistic The Simpsons is. I go, no, it's a satire on like how Marge is not seen as being like this like strong, amazing, talented, intelligent woman because it's in the guise of like American culture during the time, and it's more of a satire. It's not because they actually think she's not smart. It's because like if you look at the actual show and how they perceive characters, it's supposed to be like funny because it's like how horrible we are as society. Um, yeah, it's like the thing with 40K. It's like if you don't know the context of things, yeah, it looks bad at times. I mean, hey, I mean, at least Games Workshop is not trying to do what was it? Was it MIG? Was it
AK
MIG
AK
the company
AK-47.
or
I think it's
AK
AK Interactive.
when they did the Rwandan genocide
Yeah.
paint guide tutorial thing, and you're like, dude, no, like, what the fuck were you thinking, you idiots? Like, not cool. It's really not cool. And it's like, but that's like more like on the nose, like, don't fucking do that. But this is more like lore that's been created over the span of like 30 years, and it's created by a bunch of like metalhead punk kids, guys growing up in England who wanted to make it kind of like Judge Dredd, where it's like satire, humor, like, but it's like grim, dark, and like depressing. Like the fact that like the interior Imperium aesthetic is like gothic, it's like very like tied into that aesthetic, that very like historical period. But it's like if you're not looking at it as a whole and you just see like a random little tiny thing, yeah, it'll offend you. And like, I mean, like, people are entitled to their opinions, but like I would be like, it's kind of silly if you're trying to like cancel Black Templars because it's like if you're watching a fucking movie about knights and they see like the Knights Templar, like, oh, they have crosses, oh, like it's a historical like movie, like, come on, like, let's be fucking stupid, like, don't be stupid here, like, you're suspending a lot to make a very odd statement that seems very, I don't know.
Yeah. I
I think
guess
you're
yeah,
trying to make a, a out of
and
a
I agree with you.
molehill,
I
so to
guess
speak.
ultimately, like, and a lot of people were upset about the language around like Crusades. They were like, "Oh, Crusade is problematic." Like, look, we get it. The Christians invaded like the Middle East many times in the ancient history and killed
Yep.
lots of thousands of people. And literally, I was like, every country, the U.S. Think, let's just talk the U.S. You're American. U.S. colonialism is full of awful and oppressive events in the past, right? Like the U.S. has done awful things around the world many times over for the last few hundred years. When we see a U.S. flag, do we think, oh, it's a symbol of hate and oppression and racism and blah blah blah? No, we don't. Like now they've done those things. British colonial. Look, and I'm not saying it's just U.S. British, the French, colonialism in general has been an awful, awful thing when you think about all the like. I mean, we're here in this country because of colonialism, right? Um, my point isn't to say that the U.S. is the only bad person. My point is that there's a lot of really bad history associated with things like symbols, like flags, right? Like countries, like governments,
Yeah.
that we never really think about because we just accept it, right? Now, I'm not saying
Yeah.
that it should be forgiven and that we should just like not know that that stuff didn't exist. But when I see a US flag, for instance, or a British flag or a French flag, I don't get really upset because of what they did to, like, I don't see it and think, oh, that's a hate symbol or a symbol of fascism and oppression because of what they did to the Native Americans in North America, or what they did to the African nations that they colonized, or what they did to, you know, whatever, right? I don't think that. Now, those things are all true and those things are all awful, but I don't associate that symbol with that thing. So now, in the case of the
Yeah.
cross and the word crusade, again, I know what the historical crusades were, but crusade is also for me a verb.
Yeah.
It's the kind of a term of, yes, they called them the crusades, but we in 2021 the word crusade, I could have a crusade against something. I could say I'm crusading against this cause. That doesn't mean that when I use that word in that context, you're not thinking, oh, he's hearkening to this history of, you know, oppression of, you know, Muslims by Christians, etc., etc. Like, it's context matters, right? And the way you use the word matters, and the way that you mean the word matters. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. Yeah, exactly, Brian. Um, my point is, we have to get away from this, and this is where I will kind of leave it, because this is a whole bag of worms. Lots of symbols from countries in history and past represent lots of awful things, and we need to be able to have a nuanced discussion about what those symbols mean and what context they're used. And we need to not be like, and we can't be, I guess, too too scared um, to like call out when things are really problematic, but also we can't get offended at every word and time these things show up. Like, we have to understand. Um,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. It's hard because I mean, like, for the longest time, like, I don't know. I just feel like because I've been in the hobby for so long that I'm very used to a lot of people being like, oh, this is kind of cringy when it comes to Warhammer, and being like, yeah, like Death Corps of Krieg sometimes get a little. I mean, they're supposed to be like World War II era Germans, but still, some people are like, this is getting a little Germany.
yeah,
It's like, okay, well, then whatever. Like, speak your piece, but like, I don't know, like, it's not their intent to create
yeah.
Nazis in space.
One
Well,
thing
it's
I
that
do
as the
remember,
Imperial.
I don't know if you guys
Never
remember
mind, the
this.
Imperial.
There's a magic card. I forget what it's called. Um, it's an old like alphabet beta magic card, and it used to have a pentagram in the background. And then in subsequent editions, they removed the pentagram because it was like devil symbolism, right? What's the card called?
Yeah.
It's called Unholy Strength. Thanks, Kelly. I was like, guys, there's got to be a Magic the Gathering player in this audience. So Unholy Strength used to have a pentagram, and actually Diablo the game used to have a lot of pentagrammic symbols as well in the game, and they actually ended up removing that and changing. Like, you won't see pentagrams in Diablo 3, I don't think, but I think Diablo 2 had um, lots of pentagrams and stuff. So like, these symbols, again, I think the reason they did them was dumb, which was like they represent the devil, etc., etc. But like, I get that they did it, and ultimately, I'd prefer that games just make up their own new symbols, right? I get that the Black Templars are inspired by crusading armies, but
Mhm.
if you know what they are and look, you don't need to be Black Templars to be a fascist invading army. That's all Space Marines are that. Like, the Black Templars are no different. You know what I'm saying? Just because they go on crusades instead of conquests doesn't make them any less worse than like the regular Space Marines. The regular Space Marines are just as awful. So,
Yeah.
all right. Any final thoughts? Before we sign off here, David?
No, man. I mean, like, I was gonna say there was a lot of other really amazing things that came out by GW this week. Necromunda has some really great new Hive Scum model releases and marketplace terrain kits. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I mean, like, I'm mad excited about that. Frankly, I'm really, really excited about
What's
that.
that?
What's that? The new Necromunda
Yeah,
stuff.
I haven't really looked at it, but
The conversion fodder is gonna be really wonderful. A lot of good bits. The new Vansar Arachno rig is coming out, which is like a guy in like a giant like robot suit. That'll be really great. I'm really excited about that model. I'm probably gonna buy a junk ton of them and convert them into God knows what. Hopefully they're big enough to what I think they're gonna be used for. Yeah, man. Titanicus, they just released the new book for Traitor Titan Legions, which has rules for like demonically
yeah.
possessed Titans, which is gonna be really awesome. Yeah. They're making a new oh god, how's that thing called? The Warmonger Titan. They're making a new variation that's melee version of it, and that thing looks freaking sweet.
I did hear a rumor that Titanicus might get kind of like a few more releases, and then they're kind of ending the game as far as like new releases. What do you think of that?
I mean, they're kind of running out of things to put in the game unless they do the smart thing and start making Orc and
They need to
Eldar
get
Titans.
Imperator
And
Titan, an Emperor Titan, or some Ordo Sinister, the Psi Titans. Those would be cool. Or do they have those already?
they already,
Yeah.
they already made that.
There's a question in chat. Andrew asks,
Yeah.
and it's a really easy question to answer, and I'm just going to tell you the answer, Andrew, because there's no other answer. He says, in the Heresy, one Primarch stays loyal rather than traitor, and vice versa. Who do you choose? Well, I don't need to choose. Magnus was always loyal, and he did nothing wrong, so he would obviously continue to stay loyal. And Lionel Johnson is Chaos, so he would go to the Chaos side, which is the side he belongs. So really easy answer, man. Because the Dark Angels are a traitor legion. I do remember the Eye of Terror campaign. I played in that campaign. I remember when we blew up the planet. I forget what it was called, but all right, guys, that's gonna be the show for tonight. Sorry for all the technical issues. Thanks for those of you that stuck around and listened to us rant and rave. If you guys have any thoughts on this whole like symbology, Crusades, is it problematic? Is it not? I'd love to hear your feedback. So make sure to leave a comment below. Otherwise, I will be back tomorrow night with some hobby streaming. I'm gonna be painting terrain because I basically don't have an army to paint for at the moment, and it's not that exciting. But I'll chat with you guys and we'll hang out. Friday we'll be back for some hobby streams, and then next week, I don't really know what next week holds, but gonna be doing some prep work for Kippers and yeah, just general life. So thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you later.